What I would say to my mentors back in Japan, 本当にあんまり言えないです。もちろんありがとうございますと言うけど、そのいっぱい教えていただいたものは、もう僕も先輩になって、それ後輩などに伝えておくしかないです。本当に。それに頑張ります。頑張ります。Good evening, welcome, how are you? I grew up in Virginia, Northern Virginia, suburban Washington, D.C. I grew up eating pretty much what everybody else eats, SpaghettiOs and macaroni and cheese. Being a foreigner living and working in Japan, especially in a traditional industry like that, you're helpless at first, kind of like an infant.
So this is okose, called goblin fish or scorpion fish or stonefish.
And then you kind of go through a adolescence or teenager year where you're kind of rebelling against it, and then you go to the point where you realize that rebelling against it isn't helping you at all, and then you're basically an adult.
These spines are venomous. There's these little poison sacs along the side of the spine. It'll sit on the sea floor with these spines up to protect itself. You kind of have to, if you just graze it with your fingers, you probably won't get any venom, but if you stab yourself, it injects the venom, even when it's not alive anymore. It will inject the venom. And this guy won't kill you, but it's very painful. There's some thrill about eating something that's trying to kill you back. I actually did fugu before I did okose, so I was kind of over the poisonous fish nervousness by that point. But really the danger is really to the fisherman and the chef more than it is to the diner with this fish. So the first thing to do is to get the spines out by cutting down on each side. All right, I'm gonna have to move fairly quickly because we don't have a lot of time. So first I gotta get the eyes out, then the guts. Oh, this one has eggs, which is nice.
My first day at Kikunoi. So Kikunoi is kind of famous in Japan for being a really, really hard place to work. But I didn't know that. They'll serve more than 100, 150 people for dinner, which is large in Japan. It's very traditional kaiseki, so you learn a lot of traditional techniques across all of Japanese cuisine. Not just say sushi or tempura or something like that, but you learn the whole breadth of technique, which was great. The first Michelin guide came out in Kyoto in 2008, I think it was, and they got 3 stars, and they've kept the 3 stars since then. Chef Murata is passionate about showing what's incredible about Japanese cuisine and spreading it around the world. That's probably the reason why they let me in. They told me 16-hour days, which was actually not true. It was more than that. I wasn't ready for that. I want an immersive, tough experience. But nobody's prepared for that. Most of the kids who go there quit in the first 2 weeks. These are Japanese kids, of course, coming from top-level cooking schools or the children of famous chefs. And they quit in 2 weeks, most of them. I've done a lot of octopus, and this is the only way I've ever done it. So let me get some ink off. Yeah, these are the eggs of the octopus. Here you can see where the membrane is broken. You can see the individual eggs. They're very small, very tasty. This is a coarse flake-style sea salt. You don't want to use like kosher salt because it'll give it a strange flavor. I think after about 6 months, your body kind of adjusts, and it gets a little easier in terms physically, and then you start to get more responsibilities, and then it gets tough again. I think not knowing what's going on so much and not understanding when I was being chewed out in Japanese, at least at first, kind of helped me maybe stick it out. And ended up staying there almost 7 years. I probably didn't settle in until about my 6th year in terms of not just the language, but also just fitting in the social environment at work. Now this octopus is squeaky clean. All the slime is out. And we cut it into pieces, and you can either leave the scythe on the tentacles or take it off. I take it off. Butterfly open the head, and then split the tentacles starting here at the back
And this one's already had the beak removed in Japan, so they'll kind of attack each other, and you'll get these like bite marks if they don't remove the beak. So it's almost like if you give someone a massage, and you kind of like a deep massage, and you can kind of feel that there's knots in their muscles. That's what it feels like. This is zarame. This is basically a Japanese version of demerara or turbinado sugar. It's a raw sugar or washed sugar from southern Japan where they do sugarcane production. And you put in the tentacles by kind of dipping them and pulling them out a little bit and dipping them and pulling them out, and that's to get a nice curl on the tentacle. Then the head can go into.
After working in Kikunoi for 7 years, I was thinking of coming back to the United States, but I realized that, in the US, sushi is by far the most important Japanese cuisine. Just to have the professional skill, I wanted to train in sushi for at least a few more years. So I went to Tokyo and trained at Sushi Aoki in Ginza for another 3 years before I came back. Kaiseki in Kyoto is not just a tasting menu. It's a cultural experience, and it's plugged into all these cultural and craft elements in Kyoto. And then you go to Tokyo, and it's more like a restaurant here where you're trying to just put together a meal that makes people happy. It's nowhere near as demanding. I think what makes the menu here at Shoji different from other omakase restaurants is it's a combination of the kaiseki and sushi. So that Thai is gotta be 10 years old, I'd say, maybe 13.
For Thai, there's kind of a sweet spot at about 2.5 kilos, where, if it's too small, it doesn't have enough fat, and if it's too big, it's still good, but you get a little bit less yield because the tendons get larger, and you can't use the parts that have a lot of tendons in them. This is kohara, gizzard shad.
You sort of have to go through learning not just the language, but body language and what's expected of you in a workplace in Japan, which is totally different from here. Work in Japan is your life. In Western culture, I think in general, I know in America, you can mimic, you can mirror people, and it'll get you a lot of places that, if you feel uncomfortable in a social situation or you don't know how to act, if you mirror the person you're with, it's a good guide. In Japan, that's a very bad thing to do. The thing is, in Japan, it's hierarchical, so every relationship, you're either above or below somebody, for the most part, especially at work. If, say, a chef is telling you something to do, and you mirror even their body language, that's very bad. I mean, if they know that you don't know what you're doing, they might put up with it, but most of them would be just furious. Also, once you get some responsibility and you're responsible for some of the younger cooks, if you mirror the way they talk to you, they'll assume that you're below them, and they won't listen to you, and they'll actually start talking down to you. You have to learn how to act in different situations, and you have to think, what you're supposed to be doing in that situation.
There's so many different kinds of eel around the world. As far as Japanese food goes, there's 3 major ones that you eat. There's the anago, the unagi, and the hamo, which is this guy.
Hamo is a kind of eel. It's a sea eel, but it's not the normal sea eel, anago. It has the same richness that eel has, but it also tastes like a white flesh fish. In Western Japan, people are passionate about it during the summer. If you go there, you'll have it 1,000 different ways, every place you go. Hamo is not just a great fish in terms of its quality and its flavor, but it's a great achievement in Japanese cuisine. It took a lot of ingenuity and skill to develop the technique to make hamo edible. After I learned how to do it, I didn't want that skill to be a dead end, and I want to pass it along to the people that work here also.
All the eel are funny. It's not like a normal fish. It's more like an animal that then went back into the ocean or something. Lost its legs. This one's from Awajishima, Awaji Island, which is off of Osaka. There's sort of a strait between Kyushu and the main island and Shikoku. And it's very nutrient rich, but also fast moving ocean currents, and all the fish from there are particularly fatty but not flabby, because they have to be athletic to survive in the fast currents. It's one of the best places for fish in the whole world. On the inside, eels smell like an animal smells on the inside. They don't smell like a fish smells on the inside. Particularly hamel. This part looks kind of normal compared to a regular fish, but instead of taking off the whole fillet, we're going to butterfly it. And then this part's different. You come from this side, and then this is the kind of part, the difficult part, because it's very thin, and you don't have a whole lot. Okay, so that was the first difficult part, getting out the backbone. The ribs are also difficult to remove. Well, the hardest thing is cutting the bones, because you have to cut through the flesh, through the bones, but not through the skin. And the bones are hard, they're calcified, they're not, soft like some other eel bones are. But you need a very thick, heavy knife to get through the bones. It's almost like playing the violin. You have to learn how to do it step by step. The knife is a honekiri bocho, which means bone cutting knife. So this is the bone cutting knife. If you look at the edge, you can see it's quite thick, about a 1/4 inch thick. It's heavy, and there's no weight in the handle. The handle is just wood. It's basically weighted like a machete, and you need that weight to get through the bones. You're hearing the bones that I'm cutting through. Right there's about 10 bones. So, maybe 80 rows of 6 bones. So, hundreds of bones. You want to cut about every millimeter or 2, and that makes the bones small enough that you won't notice them. Even if you're not serving hamo itself, the muscle control that you need to do it is an important training step when you're becoming a chef. I think what makes the menu here at Shoji different from other omakase restaurants is it's a combination of kaiseki and sushi. I wanted to learn Japanese cuisine, but I wanted to learn it in a way and to an extent that no one had done before. So I needed to do something that nobody had done before. This is okoze, sliced very thin. A little bit of its skin has been blanched and is in the middle. If I were doing French cooking, I could work 5 days a week and 12 hours a day, but no, I'm doing Japanese cooking, so I have to work 6 days a week, 18 hours a day. So this is the hasen, which contrasts something from the ocean and something from the mountain. This octopus is from Sajima Island in Tokyo Bay, poached until tender, and new potatoes from Hudson Valley with snap pea, also from Hudson Valley. Hamel with bainiku, which is pureed pickled plum. You have to really, really want to do it. You have to be passionate about it, or you're going to quit, because it's so difficult. I kind of couldn't quit, even if I wanted to.